Live.
And I'll know when we're on because I will hear myself like a cave, a cavern, an echo, if you will.
All right. I thought you.
And
Yeah.
I'll know when we're on can you hear me now. So
There.
we are on the YouTubes,
Okay.
and we actually have the usual suspects. Tommy and hubby Billy has managed to join us. He's staying up past his bedtime because he works in the morning.
Uh,
And we have
and,
a
bo-
mysterious Cronahaven.
and both you guys watched Key Largo, right?
We did. I made him watch it with me.
Ah,
You cannot have your Bogart without Bacall.
that's right. That's right. All right. I'm almost there, folks.
And when you join us in the discords there, Mr. Smelly, you'll see that I put in a little animated image in your honor ahead of the class.
Oh, all right. Well, I can't wait to see what that is. Folks, I want to compliment DJ on his presentation tonight. Black and white, and it's got a hurricane glass there, and the palm trees and everything. It's perfect.
I went for my ugliest tie. I couldn't quite get the Edward G. Robinson collection.
Ha. Oh, wasn't that a weird tie? It was so
Oh,
fat and short.
I said to hubby, somewhere there's a diner that's missing a tablecloth.
Honestly, I didn't. I mean, well, I guess that was the that was the style.
Mm.
Remember the ultra thin, just like 2 decades later, the ultra thin ties that were long.
Oh yes, as someone like Spanky would tell you about, that's what the Duran Durans wore.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
Speaking of our heyday, our beginnings there in Barbarella land, the Duran Duran.
That's right. That's right. That's a weirdo connection. And by the way, we let's lay it on everybody. What's the Star Trek connection tonight? There's at least one.
Oh, let me take a gander in the notes here because I don't remember right now because you put me on the spot.
I know. I just figured you'd notice.
I
And
mean,
now and now all of a sudden, now that I've asked that question, I wonder if I remember myself.
well, I think it comes somewhere along with the celebrity births. I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think. I think.
I don't think that there was anyone actually in the cast, but we have talked about one of this cast's other films, and we can get into that once I get someone to admit that they can hear me. Technology is great. You can even type in here.
Ah, okay, and I'm almost there. You
Okie
can see
dokie.
my photo now, right?
Let me switch over to the zoomy zooms. And yes, I do. I see right there in the lobby.
Okay. All right. And
Let's
I
go
just
right to
need to get
the
on.
lobby.
I just gotta need to. I just gotta get on Discord and bring up the notes.
Oh, Cronehaven says she hears us. Well, that's a good thing. I
Hi,
hope
Crone.
I hope she's not driving as she's admitted she's one to do this time of day. But I think that her days of employment are behind her. I think I heard her say something about hanging up her
I
hat.
I can confirm. I can also confirm a neat little home she and B have found, and they seem very very happy there. And yes, oops, wait a minute, I'm checking sound. Yeah,
Okay.
we are definitely on. on the stream. And here we go. I'm going to get into Discord right this very minute. Folks, I'm very sorry.
Well, it's okay. It gave us some time for some of our audience members to find their seats.
I'm almost there. Did I? No, I did. Cronehaven posted a photo of us, but maybe I didn't say. Cronehaven and I met for dinner very recently.
Oh, okay.
And with B, and they were coming through Ithaca. I mean Pickle Hollow.
Uh-huh.
And so we had dinner together, and I got to see her.
Oh.
And it was very, very nice.
She came through this part of the state on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose. All of a sudden, she and we had friends, mutual friends, and they went to a birthday or an anniversary party. Anyways, it was kind of interesting because it was like almost like a week-long celebration.
Oh, nice.
And they were there for several days. It was very interesting. All right. She says, I am in my office packing boxes. Do you know what that means? She's in her, Cronehaven is in her office, probably packing her office. She's retiring. And
how
about that?
Wow. They say that you're never busier than the day you retire because, all that time that you didn't have to do everything else. Well, now you're doing everything else and nothing else.
Yeah, it must be it can't be like as easy as everyone says, or I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, I'm home all the time as it is anyways. I'm not sure how my other half would treat me being retired someday.
Right. Okay, I've got Discord up. All I have to do is get the notes up.
Okay.
And if you're wondering why it's taking me so long to do it, it's because I have nappy poo fog. I do. I have nappy poo fog.
Oh,
big time.
The chickies Mickey'd his drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a few folks in the chat room, and you got your pen and paper there, Toppy?
Almost. I'll let you know when I got it. There we go.
Ooh, I hear the palm trees swaying in the breeze.
Yes.
Oh, that's a little bit more than a breeze.
Whoa.
I know you like to have your windows open this time of year, Toppy, but perhaps close it a skosh.
Yeah. Now, you know what I'm going to have to do, DJ? I'm going to have to close the shutters.
Oh, yes. Back when those actually did something and more than just looked pretty.
Yeah. Got to close the hurricane shutters. And that's how I like to say hurricane.
Yes, there is a phrase that's used as a sort of a grammar lesson for those of you who are fans of the classics in My Fair Lady, which in the Audrey Hepburn version had Rex Harrison as the professor. In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hotly happen.
Oh my God, really? She did say hurricane?
Yes.
So I'm kind of correct in some ways.
You're speaking the Queen's English, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it was the king in those days.
Hurricane. All right. Beg your forgiveness, everyone. I'm almost sort of like, I think I'm freaking here. DJ, I'm here. We can start at your leisure.
All right, we'll get this underway. Good evening and welcome to the beautiful historical Marionette Theater. Tonight we're going to be visiting a mid to late 40s drama and crime film, all about organized crime and somebody who's visiting an old friend's family in the South. Please take your seats. The show is about to begin. I'm afraid Gertie can't make it tonight. You see, the lounge singer in tonight's movie brings back memories of her grandmother, and she's feeling a little under the weather. Oh, that's sad to hear, but I guess our old pal Stutzy is on standby tonight.
Stutzy, good. It's good to hear you again, Stutzy.
Oh, she's just a little shy, and I think she's hanging out downstairs.
No,
But
I
hey,
know.
you know, Toppy, I hear that it's around 30 days or so before we're sitting on the surface of the sun. That season they call summer's just around the corner. And usually, when the seasons are changing, is when they get all that bad weather in parts of the country.
That's right. Like a little later on, we'll have hurricane season starting.
We will. Some of the things that we're going to mention. Well, I'll just take a moment to mention, put things into perspective. We're of course getting ready to discuss our film tonight, but as we want to do, we want to just check in with each other now. Some things that happened on this date, which is May 20th in history, in 1873. Blue jeans are patented by Levi Strauss, not just for cowboys. And in 1927, closer to the time that this movie came out, by a couple decades anyway, Charles Lindbergh, that famous pilot who his kid later went missing, he took off on the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight.
Wow.
And Toppy, yesterday was National Devil's Food Cake Day. Do you
I
like?
did not know that.
Do you like yourself some chocolate cake?
Sure do.
I'm of that generation that I enjoyed that comedian that we don't talk about too much these days because he's gone to court about things. But he used to sing this song in his stand-up act about dad is great, gave us the chocolate cake, for breakfast.
Oh, okay. I probably saw that, but I forgot. You know what? I've never seen a devil in devil's food cake, but that's just me.
In my family, we had to take on the chocolate cake. I guess it must have been something from the 50s. Mom and my grandmother used to make it, but you put mayonnaise in the cake, and of course that's in place of eggs, and it's supposed to make the chocolate richer. But Mom and Grandma also were one to put a peanut butter frosting on it, so that was a staple.
Oh my! I got to tell you, the family birthday cake that my grandmother and mother made for years and years and years for my birthday, because it was my favorite, was a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, and it was a dual 2 layers. In between was kind of like a chocolate pudding kind of thing, just kind of stick. Anyways, that's what I remember, and it was just chocolate death, and that which is what I wished.
Well, about the time I came around, I had to break with tradition because I am that kid that grew up in the 80s, and I had to have a strawberry cake with strawberry icing, and I'd forgotten how disgustingly sweet that was. A few years back, I decided to revisit that chapter, and the thing tasted like a crushed up crayon.
A crushed up crayon does not sound all that sweet.
But we're this weekend we're going to be putting our air conditioners in their places because we don't have one of those modern homes, people. And some of us folks in the Northeast, we didn't have that in the building plan. But
right, I can't have a air conditioner because the electric is so old in the chicken coop. It's got glass fuses, and it would totally brown out. I mean, it wouldn't work. I can't have a fan in the window going and toast in my toaster. It'll just blow the fuse.
I once rented a room when I lived in Texas just for 1 year, but it was a house, an older house with older wiring. Of course, anyone technical will tell you it's 110 wiring, whatever. But the same kind of thing happened. If somebody turned on their air conditioner, heaven forbid, in a hot Texas summer, the refrigerator in the common room would trip the breaker, and suddenly the groceries you bought went spoiled.
Well, speaking of
Oil.
speaking of old clapboard houses and dilapidated things, the major set piece for this movie is a wonderful old hotel down in the Keys, and that's where all the action takes place.
Sure does. And I'm getting a signal from downstairs. Woo, woo. Well, I think she's ready. So, Toppy, shall we let our stand-in do her part for tonight?
By all means.
Okay, here we go.
Frank McCloud finds himself traveling the coast of Florida during the off-season when he decides to drop in on an old war buddy's family hotel. Just as he arrives, news begins to spread of two escaped prisoners and a storm that's on its way. As they batten down the hatches, it becomes clear gangsters have moved into town. Will Frank become a good Samaritan and blow the whistle? Will the baddies get away with the murder? Grab your raincoat and your scout handbook. There's lots of knots in this one. It's time for Key Largo with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. Take it away, fellas.
What do you get when you take a dash of the silver screen? A pinch of golden oldies and a smidgen of screaming. It's time for Matinee Minutia with your hosts DJ and Toppy.
Oh, I am all ready for this little party we have here going on. Now, of course, if you are not already checking us out on the YouTubes, you can go to our page at matineeminutia.com. I'll let you spell that. And if you click on the little TV tube there logo for YouTube, you could see us. And I'm sitting right out here outside the grand old hotel, having myself a beverage in a hurricane glass, because in the South they like to party when there's bad weather. You got to get together when you want to feel safe.
Right. And in this movie, the hurricane is almost a character in this story.
Yes, everyone's waiting for it to show up. It's kind of like that distant relation that you've invited to Thanksgiving, but you're hoping doesn't come.
Yes, well done. Do we have a trailer for this guy of this movie?
I don't actually, because for this period of time, a lot of the theater releases there, the previews would be all narrator talk and just the action scenes. But that does bring to mind that I forgot something.
I won't say nothing.
I'm just going to insert this where there is a button and no name on it, and we'll be none the wiser.
All right. You take the lead and continue. And
okay, so Toppy, one of the things we like to do is put people's minds to what's going on. What do we normally do here?
Well, we like to set the stage. So tell us what was happening in 1948.
Okay, so way back in 1948, some of our parents and grandparents were just youngins. World War II had ended 6 years before. After 6 years, 3 years before 1948. So still fresh in the memories of folks as this movie came out. Now in 48, the stock car racing organization NASCAR. Now, my sister has an ex-husband, and she is an intellectual type. So when she and he were together, rather than calling it NASCAR, she would call it NASCAR, as if it
Ah.
was French. It was founded by Bill France Sr. And in the history of integration, McCollum versus the Board of Education, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that religious instruction in public schools violated the Constitution. I think we're forgetting something here. All right. So, ABC television network first began broadcasting in 48. WTVR began television services that year, and it was the first TV station in the South. Can you believe it? Back in the 40s, when TV was starting in 48, 3 years after World War II, they were just getting their first TV station south of DC.
Nice.
So in 48, Walt Disney Productions' 10th feature film, Melody Time, was released. It was Disney's 5th of 6 package films to be released through the 40s. Also in film, David Lean's Oliver Twist, which was based on Charles Dickens' famous novel, premiered in the UK. It's banned in the US for 3 years because alleged anti-Semitism depicting master criminal Fagin, of course, played by, now this isn't Star Trek, but it is sci-fi. Star Wars actor Alec Guinness was in this back in 48.
Much younger, yes.
Yes. All right. So a few more things in 48. President Truman, he signed Executive Order 9981, which ended racial segregation in the armed forces. So we are marching as one now. The House Un-American Activities Committee. Now this holds bearing in the discussion of the film tonight. The House Un-American Activities Committee holds its first ever televised congressional hearing, feature Confrontation Day, between Whittaker Chambers, who was a senior editor at Time magazine, and Alger Hiss. No, I didn't make a sound. It's Hiss, the last name. Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on International Organizations. Say that 3 times fast. This was the convention that created the UN Charter. So they were putting things together then. And just a few less things here. The first of the Kinsey reports, the famous psychologist, therapist. The Kinsey reports on sexual behavior in the human male was published in 48. And Charles Lazarus started Children's Supermart. This was a business that was a predecessor of Toys R Us in DC in 48. And it started off as a baby furniture retailer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we got lots of celebrity boys that year, folks. I'm going to rip through them because there's so many. We got your Kenny Loggins. How about that? Larry Harvard. Do you know him? Larry Harvey, American co-founder of Burning Man. Did you know that? Well, he was born that year in 48. Ronnie Van Zant, rock musician. John Carpenter, director and producer. Rick James, African-American urban singer-songwriter. Alice Cooper, hard rock singer. Christopher Guest, he's an actor. Barbara Hershey, you know her. She invented the chocolate bar. No, she didn't. She's an actress. Bernadette Peters, you know her from film and theater. Billy Crystal, that famous actor and comedian. Oh, here's the Star Trek.
Oh, yes.
John Delancey, actor, LA Law, and Star Trek.
In the Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yes. Steven Tyler, he was a musician. Diane Wiest, actress. Bud Cort, actor. Al Gore, 45th vice president of the Al Gore, the 45th VP of the U.S.
He invented the internet, you know.
Yes, and he talked to everyone like we were first graders. Oh, Rhea Perlman from Cheers. John Oates, the musician. Stevie Nicks, the musician Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver, Phyllis Rashad.
Alicia.
Oh, Felicia. Yes, sorry. From The Cosby Show. Kathy Bates. You know her from many movies, including Misery, American Horror Story, etc. Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons. Whatever happened to him? Anyways, Richard Simmons, wherever you are out there, God bless you. And I hope you are well. Sally Struthers from All in the Family. Nell Carter, she was on Give Me a Break. John Ritter, Three's Company, and many other things. Avery Brooks from Spencer for Hire and
Star Trek.
Margot Kidder. God bless you, Margot Kidder. I hope you're well. She was most famous for Lois Lane and Superman, 3 Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. Kate Jackson from Charlie's Angels. We're almost at the end, folks. She Wallace, the mom on E.T. I loved her in Cujo. Let's see, Samuel L. Jackson, the actor who can't not swear. And that's why I love him. Nick, and he most famous now for playing Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. DJ, what was going on with the film industry? Who was competing with Key Largo?
Oh, okay. So in theaters back in 1948, this was long enough ago that we didn't really keep track of the box office the same way we do nowadays. But in the world of film in 1948 at the Academy Awards, Best Film went to a feature directed by tonight's director, Mr. John Huston.
But for 1948 was a big year for John Huston.
It was The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And the synopsis of that is, if you haven't seen it, 2 down on their luck Americans searching for work in the 20s in Mexico convince an old prospector to help him mine for gold in the Sierra Madre Mountains. And of course, it's a John Huston movie.
And by the way, John Huston is also an actor. He portrayed many characters in many of his movies, and then he portrayed characters in other people's movies. And John Huston was the old prospector in Treasure.
And in 48 at the Academy Awards, Best Actress. Now, here's a Star Trek connection for you. Jane Wyman. Now, when I first heard that name, it was because of Back to the Future. And of course, they were talking about Ronald Reagan being the president. And in 1955, the impression was, if Ronald Reagan's president, who was the first lady? Jane Wyman? Because she co-starred with him in a lot of films then. But Jane Wyman and later Spock's mommy on Star Trek, playing Amanda Grayson.
And by God, she went all the way up to the movies, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Star Trek 4 was, I think, her last appearance as Spock's mom.
Yes. Jane Wyman won Best Actress in a film called Johnny Belinda. And the story of that is a kind doctor volunteers to tutor a deaf mute woman, but scandals start to swirl when this pupil is raped and falls pregnant. So that might be an interesting film just for the challenge of the role. Also
she won an Oscar for that, by the way.
Yes, she did. And also in 48 for Best Actor that year, it went to Mr. Lawrence. I think it was Sir later on, Sir Laurence Olivier, in his portrayal of Hamlet in a UK film that was based upon the Shakespeare play of the same name.
All right, let's get right into the director, because there's John Huston. For heaven's sakes, we can't cover everything about John Huston tonight. But what a character, what a true life character, what a legend. And also a man I probably would not have enjoyed knowing personally. He was a complicated man with many unpleasant aspects. However, we celebrate him tonight for this particular movie, Key Largo. Born in Nevada, um, he was an only child. He actually was performing on stage with his father, who was a vaudevillian actor, Walter Houston. And he was doing that at age 3. Um, he would travel with his father on the vaudeville circuit, and also travel the country and the world with his mother. So he was exposed to many different cultures. But he was a frail and sickly child, and he had an enlarged heart and kidney ailment that just made him a frail child. But by the time he grew out of all that, he really made the most of life. Was incredibly active. Um, by the time he was in school at age 14, he quit school. What did he become, DJ? A boxer. Yes, that's how much he recovered. And he eventually won the amateur lightweight boxing championship of California, winning 22 of 25 bouts. So there you go. And he broke his nose in the ensuing melees. He was also a licensed pilot, and the tale goes that as a prank, he once flew over a golf course delivering a celebrity tournament, or during a celebrity tournament, and he dropped 5,000 ping pong balls on the players. So he never quite got away from acting and his exposure to his father, because he not only did vaudeville, but he got into movies, and he was exposed to a lot of the industry. He became very interested in it, and lo and behold, he started writing for the movies. That was the first thing he did, and he was pretty good, and he wrote a lot of good stories. And finally, he was regarded well enough by studios to be given his first film to direct. And he wrote the film, and my gosh, it was The Maltese Falcon. Can't get any more classic than that. That was 1941, also starring Humphrey Bogart. Peter Lorre was famously in it. And Maltese Falcon was a film noir, as is Key Largo. And it certainly made Bogart a star and cemented Houston as a director. So his fifth feature film was Key Largo. Just before that, as we mentioned before, he made The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, the first film of that year in 1948. It also starred Humphrey Bogart and Houston himself. Also, it starred his father, who won the Academy Award for that movie. And after Key Largo, he was doing We Were Strangers in 1949 with Jennifer Jones and John Garfield. And he averaged like a film a year over the next 5 years, including one of my super favorites, The African Queen, with, once again, Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. He also did The Red Badge of Courage, a Civil War story about war and a Union soldier who struggles to find the courage to fight in the heat of battle, which is a theme he really loved and returned to. That's a bit of a theme in tonight's movie. And he was a supporter of human rights, and he went up against the Committee for the First Amendment in 1947 and strove to undermine the House Un-American Activities Committee. That was the whole heebie-jeebies commie scare, and a lot of people in Hollywood got blacklisted. It destroyed many a career. In fact, that actually disillusioned him so much. He moved out of the United States. He was so disgusted, and he moved to Ireland, and he loved it there. And he went there with his fourth wife. This man was complicated and had problems. She was a ballet dancer, and she's the mother of Angelica Houston, an actress that we came to know and see a lot of, I think, mostly in the 80s, right?
Yeah, in the mid to late 80s, she was in an adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches, and it also starred some of the cast of Little Voice later on. Brenda Blythen and Jane Horrocks were also witches in this film, The Witches, with Angelica Houston.
Right. So he did eventually direct his daughter, Angelica, in a movie called The Dead, which was his last movie. And he also directed his daughter in Pritzi's Honor with Jack Nicholson. And that movie won Angelica Houston an Oscar. So he directed a movie with his father that got him got his father an Oscar. He directed his daughter, and that got his daughter an Oscar. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that that kind of never happened before, and probably never will ever again. I'll tell you one thing I don't remember. He directed Annie, 1982, with Albert Finney and Carol Burnett. I did not know he directed that movie.
Neither did I. And upon researching Mr. Houston, that, of course, is noted as one of his off films. It wasn't his most well received, but I mean, he had so many people in that film that possibly not having his name as the director couldn't have gotten those stars. I mean, you have Tim Curry, you have Bernadette Peters, in addition to Carol Burnett and Albert Finney. So, may not have been his crowning achievement, but it certainly gave us a piece of delight to hold on to from the 80s.
Sure. So listen, he really was larger than life. You can think of him as the Ernest Hemingway of movies. He was an adventurer. There was a movie called The Heart of Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas, and it was a kind of, it had a lot of truth to it, but frankly, it was a lot of fiction. But it was based on what Houston did when he went to Africa, and he really did. He took the crew and everybody to Africa to do The African Queen. And basically, he would just leave and go hunting because he's John Huston. Anyways, an unusual character. I think my most favorite thing as an actor was his role as the villain in the Jack Nicholson movie. That is completely escaping my brain. Please, chat room, you know what that? Oh, never mind. Oh, please, chat room, come on. He was a terrible, awful man with Jack Nicholson, and he was the father, the daughter of Faye Dunaway.
Well, we'll give them a few moments to ponder that and give you the answer.
There you go.
While we take a brief break.
Okay.
Ooh. All righty, we're gonna step on out here to the refreshment bar. While we still have a roof on the building, and Miss Stutzy is here helping us out.
Woohoo! We're having a hurricane party. Serve yourselves some virgin daiquiris while I try to remember how to mumble. It was very popular in the 40s, you know.
Hey, this is an interview with Mr. John Huston before his passing in the 80s, and he's talking about working with Humphrey Bogart.
I was surprised to read a few days after I got back to California that Bogey had recanted. And I talked to him about it when he came back out. He said he thought that we had made a mistake in this. I regarded it as a mistake that Bogey did this. He should have stuck to his guns.
Huston's difference of opinion with Bogey didn't stop them from working together. They went on to collaborate on two of their best films, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre and Key Largo, in which Bogey co-starred with Betty for what would turn out to be the last time.
I felt that Betty was, in a sense, going to school with Bogey. He worked with her and taught her how to use her voice and rehearsed with her, taking a great load off the director me I had.
A week after he finished shooting The Harder They Fall, Bogey started having painful coughing spells. His friends urged him to see a doctor. When he did, the test came back positive. He had cancer of the esophagus. In those final days, he proved to be as tough as any character he ever played.
It was 1 hour a day when they received guests. And this was observed right up to the finish. And he was too weak to even be lifted down the stairs. He was a dumb waiter. And he used to crowd himself into this dumb waiter and come down to the first floor, where he was then put into a chair and wheeled into the drawing room and have drinks and talk. And that's the last picture I have of Bogey. And quite in keeping with the image that I have of him altogether.
At his funeral, a few days later, all of Hollywood came to mourn. The night before the memorial service, director John Huston paid tribute to his friend.
And the better I got to know him, the more I admired him. He was a very serious man about his work. He took great pride in being an actor. It's a loss to the world, of course, that great talent. But the world can refer to it in the pictures that remain behind. The loss to his family and to his friends is therefore all the greater. There'll never be another Bogart.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. That was his distinctive voice. You just heard it. The distinctive voice of John Huston. You can't forget it. He did narrate a lot of things because of his voice. I don't know. You just can't forget that voice and his presence on film. He really was quite good as an actor, and he was nominated for an Academy Award for a role, and I can't remember what. But anyways, also in that interview, he mentioned Betty, and that would be Lauren Hutton, who is his co-star in Key Largo. And they were actually a husband and wife. They were married. They met on their first movie, fell in love, and as they do, and I guess people say it was quite a genuine relationship. And they did 4 really awesome, famous, classic movies together. Key Largo was their last movie together, and John Huston mentioned that as she did these 4 movies, she grew as an actress. We're going to talk about her a lot more in just a bit, but TJ, let's talk about Humphrey Bogart.
Okay, so Mr. Bogart, Humphrey Bogart. I wonder if his wives called him Hugh, because I don't know. Humphrey just sounds a little stuffed shirt.
You know what? I never even thought about the shortened name, but surely Hugh would have been it, right?
I would think so. Humphrey Bogart played Mr. Frank McCloud.
McLeod.
Call back, folks. Go find our episode on Duel. Mr. Bogart was born in New York City. His father was a surgeon and his mother was an illustrator. She worked for a magazine. Bogart began acting in the 30s and he appeared in over 40 films, 40, folks, before he was in Key Largo. His film just before Key Largo was the award-winning Treasure of the Sierra Madre in 48 with Walter Houston, who, of course, was the father of the director, John Huston. After was Knock on Any Door, and this is a story about an attorney defending a hoodlum of murder using the oppressiveness of the slums to appeal to the court. Bogart would appear in 13 films over the next 5 years. He had to pay for those Chesterfield cigarettes, folks.
Kind of.
Including Tokyo Joe in 49. Also in 51, the aforementioned celebrated film with Katharine Hepburn, The African Queen, which I think was the very first time I saw a Bogart film.
Okay, cool. Just a super quick story.
Mm-hmm.
It really was filmed in Africa, and the entire cast and crew came down with what's the thing with mosquitoes?
Oh, malaria?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who didn't come down with malaria? Houston and Bogart. Why? Because they were drinking a lot of booze with tonic. A tonic water has an ingredient that
quinine.
Yes, that staves off that particular problem.
Oh, African Queen, otherwise known as how John Huston got a tax write-off for his hunting trip.
Yeah, kind of.
So in 51, that was the African Queen. And in 54, he did a film called Sabrina. Nothing to do with the Teenage Witch many, many years later. But this was a film with Audrey Hepburn and William Holden. And it's an enjoyable film that is filmed in Italy, I do believe.
Yes, because Hollywood needed to pair Audrey Hepburn with every older man in the studio system that they could. Anyways.
Right. So as to not look short next to his co-stars like Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca and Paul Heinrich in that film also, through most of the shooting of Casablanca and in a few of his other films, Bogart wore platforms. He hiked up his shoes under his shoes that added nearly 5 inches of height to his frame. Now, Bogart has 3 films on the American Film Institute's 100 most inspiring films of all time. They include Dark Victory of 39 early in his career, and that was this number 72 out of their 100. African Queen is at number 48 on their list, and Casablanca was number 32 on their list. So 3 of his films are preserved for posterity in the American Films Institute's archive.
Yeah, talk about a classic. I call him old spit lip. DJ, did you notice how moist his lips were in every scene? Like he was just, I think that's something that was caught in a lot of movies. He just had a lot of spit.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not trying to be critical, but I could say this because I've had family members who have had various lung-related illnesses, and I'm sure that some of that sweat had to do with, gasping for air. But hey, we're here talking about a movie.
Yeah, right.
So now, you may not know this, but because we like to bring you the little kernels, the little breadcrumbs of trivia here at Matinee Minutia, Humphrey Bogart was distantly related to Princess Diana, the Princess of Wales. through her American relations, the Spencers. And he died, well, sadly, Mr. Bogart died from throat cancer at the age of 57. He was married 4 times. In the last 12 years of his life, he was married to Lauren Bacall.
Betty. All right, folks, this movie, good Lord, what a collection of classic actors. Edward G. Robinson. I just want to say he stormed onto the scene as in Little Caesar, where he played a gangster. A gangster, say? Yeah. And he did that thing. You know, DJ? Yeah, I was a gangster, say? And Little Caesar. Anyways, he was such a knockout character that he realized instantly, oh my God, I can't do that again. I'm going to be typecast. So he did a dozen movies where he played different middle-aged men in very, very different movies. John Huston wanted him in this movie. And he said, Edward, I want you to do Little Caesar again. I want you to be a gangster. I want you to do that whole thing you did. And Edward G. Robinson agreed, much to the delight of us all, because he plays Johnny Rocco. Yeah, see, I'm Johnny Rocco. Nobody's Johnny Rocco except me. Yeah, you get it? Yeah.
He climbed out of the clink.
Anyways, it was the last time he would do that Edward G. Robinson thing with the cigar and the whole thing. And it is so magnificent in this movie. He was Romanian born. He was an actor of stage and screen. He appeared in 30 Broadway plays, kids, and more than 100 movies. And his career spanned 50 years. And he's just never going to be forgotten for their tough guy roles. Get it? Yeah, say I'm a gangster. Never forgotten for those movies. But he played many other roles, such as the jester Barton Keyes in 44's film noir classic Double Indemnity. He won the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actor for his performance in House of Strangers. He was in the 10. Oh my God. He was in the 10 Commandments in a minor role. Yeah. Where's your God now, Moses? See? Yeah. And his final role was memorable as a man who remembered the taste of real food in Soylent Green. He won an Academy Award, Academy Honorary Award for his work in the film industry. And it was awarded 2 months after his death in 1973. He's ranked number 24 in the American Film Institute's list of 25 greatest male stars of classic American cinema. And that's Edward G. Robinson.
Well, I think you've made it when they caricature you in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, because I do remember Edward Dean Robinson being immortalized in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, doing that. Yeah, say.
Oh, I mean, that's how in pop culture that role in Little Caesar, I'm like, yeah, say, was so. I mean, nobody ever forgot it.
So another member of the cast, because just like playtime when you're a little kid, the magic, the talent that makes this movie is the cast. And the next member of the cast is the lovely lady who would be Bogey's blushing bride. I'm speaking of Miss Lauren Bacall, otherwise known as Betty. She was an American actress, and in honor of our member of the chat room tonight, Maureen Gertz, I'm just going to briefly mention that there was a time that I lived in the same city as Maureen, and she had a gorgeous apartment on an upper floor of this tall building. And the joke was, of course, that because the pool was on the roof, that it was going to, leak in her ceiling, but that was another part of the building. But we always called her top floor apartment her Lauren Bacall apartment because it was very Hollywood Regency and something to behold. So anyways, Lauren Bacall, American actress, she was named the 20th greatest female star of classic Hollywood cinema by the AFI, the American Film Institute, and received an Academy Honorary Award from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, not scientists, in '09 in recognition of her contribution to the golden age of motion pictures. She was known initially for her alluring, sultry presence and her distinctive, husky voice. Wish you could read the phone book, folks. Bacall was one of the last surviving major stars from the golden age of Hollywood cinema. Bacall began a career as a model before making her film debut at the age of 19 as the leading lady opposite her future husband, Humphrey Bogart, in To Have and Have Not, 90 and 44. She was wondering about the to have part then. She continued in film noir genre with appearances alongside her new husband in The Big Sleep in 46, in 47, Dark Passage, and of course, finally in 48, tonight's film Key Largo. And she starred in the romantic comedies How to Marry a Millionaire in 53, which also starred Marilyn Monroe and Betty Grable, and a film in 57 called Designing Women, which featured Gregory Peck, the grandfather of today's Spock on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And she portrayed the female lead in Written on the Wind in 56, which is considered one of Douglas Sirk's I think that might be a typo. Seminal films. Maybe that Kirk Douglas, maybe, I'm not sure.
Not sure.
But she starred alongside Paul Newman, Mr. Salad Dressing, in the 66 mystery film Harper. And she co-starred with John Wayne, the American hero, in his final film, The Shootist, in 76. John Wayne, he punched out John Huston one time, but that's another story. By Wayne's personal request, he was in The Shootist. Now, also, where she worked, Lauren Bacall worked on Broadway and musicals, earning Tony Awards for Applause in 70 and Woman of the Year in 81. For her performance in The Mirror Has Two Faces, which was directed by Babs, Barbara Streisand, in 96, she won a Golden Globe and a BAFTA, which is the British Academy of Fine Television Arts, I think, or something like that, and a SAG Award, which is the Screen Actors Guild, was nominated for Academy Award. And during the final stage of her career, she gained newfound success with a younger audience for portraying major supporting roles in the films Misery in 90, in 2003, Dogville, in English dubs of the animated films Howl's Moving Castle in 04, and Ernest Celestine. Now, she also is featured in a film that we discussed just this last year, My Fellow Americans, where she
that's right,
along with Jack Lemmon and James Garner as her classiest role to date, a former First Lady. And if you have no other exposure to Lauren Bacall, watch that film because she has some great lines, including, "Oh, Russ, if you're going to use the F word, go for the gold."
Folks, we just had, this is such a cast. We can't exclude the following, but we're going to be short. Claire Trevor. There is an amazing performance in Key Largo by Claire Trevor, who plays an aging singer, cabaret kind of performer who is there at the request of Johnny Rocco. And she's well beyond her fame, and Rocco treats her horribly in this movie. And it was such a magnificent performance. And her piece in the movie is so good. She won an Academy Award for it. And that's Claire Trevor, who was gay. What's her name?
Oh, Gay Dawn.
Yes, Gay Dawn. And she's an American actress. She's appeared in 65 feature movies from 33 to 82. She won the Academy Award for Key Largo. And this is cute. Trevor had been around in movies long enough to be top billed over John Wayne in John Ford's Stagecoach in 1939. And John Wayne insisted that Claire Trevor be in his final movie, The Shootist, where, well, he got top billing. Maybe that's why he wanted her. He got top billing over Claire Trevor. But anyways, no, they were very good friends. Anyways, it's a great moment in the movie where the singer has to sing a cappella because Rocco is demanding it. And she just wants a drink. She just wants a drink. All right. DJ, I tore up that and it was supposed to be yours.
Oh.
Why don't you do Lionel Barrymore?
All righty. So I think this is the grandpa of today's Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lionel Barrymore, who's a familiar face because I do believe that he might have been the grumpy old banker in It's a Wonderful Life. He was an American actor of stage, screen, and radio, as well as film director. And he won an American Award for Best Actor for his performance in A Free Soul in 1931. And remains best known to modern audiences for the role of the villainous Mr. Potter, well before Harry Potter, in Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life from 1946. And Mr. Barrymore was a member of the theatrical Barrymore family.
I can't even remember who all was. John Barrymore, blah, 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 right down to today's. Everybody knows Drew Barrymore today. One thing, just to mention, Lionel Barrymore had terrible arthritis that was incredibly painful. And at one point, he had to be in a wheelchair, which is why in It's a Wonderful Life, he's in a wheelchair. It's why he is in a wheelchair in Key Largo. It wasn't, he really needed that wheelchair. It wasn't a prop. So that's interesting. Folks, stand by because this is a whopper. Cronehaven in the chat room said to us, just casually, personal trivia, I rode on a carousel with Mr. Little Caesar. So she elaborates. She says it was Director's Day at Disneyland. My family was there coincidentally. I don't remember how old I was, but I wasn't a little kid. My actor brother declined to be so childish. But look who else was on the carousel. Edward G. Robinson, Mr. Tough Guy, and he wasn't afraid to ride the carousel. He was with his grandkids, I think. And my brother never refused to ride the old carousel again. How about that? Thank you, Crone. That's wonderful. What a weird touch with a celebrity.
Alrighty, Toppy. So before we finish out the hour, we have a moment where we talk about things that you might enjoy. If you like films of film noir, like
let's chat just a little bit about the movie. I know we're getting on late, but we started late, so that's okay. Anyways, I saw this when I was a kid, and the one thing I majorly remember is that I certainly didn't understand what alcoholism was, and I could not understand the actions or what was happening um, with the character of Claire Trevor. I just didn't get it. I didn't get, why she was so frail and why it was such a big deal for her to sing that song a cappella. And I just remember that for some reason. I always remember that. But since seen it many times, and it's just such a mood piece. It is considered film noir, and the tension that builds. I mean, it's really a face-off between Bogart and Edward G. Robinson. And it's just so, it dips and dives a little. There's one moment where we think, oh, Bogart's just a jerk in this movie. No. And then it comes back, and both Lauren Bacall and the audience is like, oh, he's not a, there's this whole thing about him. Is he a coward or isn't he? Is he going to stand up to the bully or isn't he? And then the hurricane that's coming down, and the subplot with the Seminole Indians who are free, just want shelter, and they're denied it by Johnny Rocco. Oh, gee, there's just so much. And then the ending, how Bogart achieves this. Well, he gets out from under this impossible thing on that boat, but he's very clever the way he does it. TJ, how did this hit you?
Well, that was one of the reasons that sometimes the trailers that were used in those times were a little misleading, because they don't necessarily put scenes in the order they happen. So if you do seek out a trailer for Key Largo, the very beginning of the trailer has Humphrey Bogart on the boat radioing for help. And spoiler alert, that doesn't actually happen until the movie's almost over. So they're sort of setting the stage, the scene for where he is. He's, on a boat at some point, but he's not actually on the boat until later. So, it was easier for them to put your mind to the setting of Key Largo off the coast of Florida by showing a boat in the very beginning. But this film was very interesting, and it did have an evolution of the characters, because he's a wartime hero, so to speak. He had served his country, and now he's going to go visit his buddy's family business, the hotel. And unlike a lot of the other films of the time, he's not, arriving on the scene with the intention of winning over the girl.
No, not at all.
Certainly, because this is his old buddy's wife. His friend's widow is the young woman of the hotel. And so he's not, in more modern speak, he's not trying to put the moves on her, because he understands she's still breathing. He misses his buddy as well. But it was quite interesting to see the crisis of faith, if you will, with Lionel Barrymore's character, the father, the man who runs the hotel, because he's a local businessman, and he interacts with these American Indians, the Seminoles, on a regular basis. And so when he's in a position that the hurricane's coming, he wouldn't normally deny these people shelter, but here his place is under lock and key for the storm, and the gangsters are telling him, nope, we pushed them away, they can fend for themselves. And he was just bereft by this, because these are probably friends of his.
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting, because not all the films, a very few films from this time period would have considered somebody who wasn't Caucasian to be, worth spending your time with, much less making sure that they were safe.
Yeah.
But Bogart's character, who's also the hero, he also has sort of a mercenary vibe, if you will, because he was more than happy to operate the boat, but what was he going to get out of it? So that
Right.
that brings you toward the ending, but it is
Yeah.
an experience going through this with all these classic film actors and these characters. You're not quite sure how they're going to arrive at the ending, and it is an experience.
Well said. Um, the the core of Bogart's character is that he's just survived a world war where his best buddy was shot to pieces. And when he's giving that speech to Edward G. Robinson and everybody in that room, where he says, I'm done sticking my neck out for the other guy. From now on, for me, it's about me. And it was genuine. He really felt that way. That's how war turned him. To be like, no, uh, from now on, it's about me. But he's put in this situation where it's not about him, and he has to act. And at times it seems like he's not gonna. And then we find out, of course, at the end, uh, he acts heroically to foil Edward G. Robinson, and it's very good. A lot of people watching this movie might notice it's so confined to that one set, and it's because it was based on a play. And the play very different. I should know the name of the playwright. I should know the name of the writer that worked with Houston to adapt it. I just don't know him right now. But interestingly enough, the play, while this movie is based on the play, it's hugely different. First of all, it takes place in Mexico. The first act entirely takes place in Mexico. The second act takes place in Key Largo. The character wasn't in World War II. He was in the Jeepers, Mexican-American War. I'm not sure exactly, but it wasn't World War II. And the dilemma in that play is one of the things that came through in the movie, which was the central character does something to save himself, and his buddy gets killed, and he has to contend with, am I a coward, the rest of his life? And he becomes a hero at the end of the play. At any rate, it's interesting because Houston took the play. I don't know what he saw in the play because it wasn't that famous or that big, but he saw something he really liked. And he basically eliminated the entire first act, had it all take place in Key Largo, and somehow just made the story what it is on film. And I don't know, it's one of my favorite movies ever.
Okay, well, with your permission, Toppy, we'll go ahead and step out here into the lobby as we are almost at the end of our hour. And I think that our showgirl stand-in is got to catch her bus, so we'll let her have her say here.
All
Before
right.
I go, guys, just a favor if you will. Take it easy on the old gal. She was doing good for a while there, but last summer she was spotted at the casino trying to spend her sobriety chip.
Oh,
Was she talking about our girl?
Yeah, I have it on good authority that Stutzy is actually Gertie's sponsor.
Oh,
That's why tonight's drinks were virgin daiquiris.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So we are at a part of the show where we talk about what you might enjoy if you liked Key Largo or you enjoy film noir. This is our snack tray. I'm going to recommend a film from a few years prior to Key Largo. This is a film from 43 that stars Mr. Cary Grant and Peter Lorre. This is a film called Arsenic and Old Lace. It's about a Brooklyn writer of books on the futility of marriage, risks his reputation when he decides to tie the knot. Things get even more complicated when he learns on his wedding day that his beloved maiden aunts are habitual murderers. And this is a Frank Capra film. So if you like It's a Wonderful Life, this is one of Mr. Capra's films, and it's of that period of the 40s with Mr. Cary Grant, Arsenic and Old Lace.
Very cute movie. I was lucky enough to see it on stage because Arsenic and Old Lace was a famous Broadway play, played all over. And it is just wonderful. The movie's wonderful, but seeing it on stage is a wonderful experience. And Frank Capra directing that movie was awesome. So good choice, DJ. I had a difficult time, but I had to choose the Maltese Falcon, which was John Huston's first directorial debut, and he wrote a lot of it. Actually, famously, he wrote a lot of the dialogue the day of shooting. It was just one of those weird things that happened where John Huston practically wrote the dialogue day by day because he wasn't satisfied with the original material. And I don't know, it just, everything that he wrote became a classic. So Maltese Falcon, 1941, American film noir, written and directed by Huston. Stars Humphrey Bogart as investigator Sam Spade. There's a femme fatale, as all film noirs should have. Peter Lorre has a wonderful role, and basically it's a private detective and how he deals with three unscrupulous adventurers, all of whom are competing to obtain a jewel-encrusted falcon statuette, which is a complete MacGuffin. It has nothing to do with anything, but it made the plot move along. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. So the Maltese Falcon, just one of those, I mean, you just can't get any freaking more classic than that. And that's, if you liked Key Largo, go back and visit 1941's Maltese Falcon.
You know, you might be surprised to know, Toppy, I have seen Maltese Falcon, although it's been a few years. And this will be a callback because earlier in the season, we discussed a favorite 80s sitcom of mine, Kate and Allie. And there was an episode of Kate and Allie where they basically revisit the themes of the Maltese Falcon. They have sort of a mini little adventure episode where they recreate scenes from the Maltese Falcon as sort of one of those hide and seek finding things. Like I think they call it geocaching nowadays. But anyways, yes, Maltese Falcon. Alrighty, sir. So, as we all know, the Marionette is a celebrated venue. Many splendid things came through here, including magic acts. Grab me that bag of coins from up there on the shelf, sir.
No. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I lost that darn machine again.
Oh, no.
Okay. I think Gertie was playing dance class with it again.
All right, well, we'll put the coin in there.
There you go again.
There you go. Whopping.
Ooh, okay. It landed over there, sir. Can you hand me that?
Here's the capsule that came out of the thing. Here you go.
Okay. Okay, folks. So next time we get together, it's going to be Friday, June 3rd. And as we all know, June is Pride Month. And we're going to feature our first film of Pride Month on June 3rd. This is an early 80s drama starring Kate Jackson from Charlie's Angels and Harry Hamlin many a year before he was on MatMin. A successful young LA doctor and his equally successful television producer wife find their happily ever after life torn asunder when he suddenly confronts his long repressed attraction for other men. Next time on Matinee Minutia, making love.
Very interesting. DJ, I've never seen it.
And we have a rare opportunity. This is available in many forms and fashions. So we may actually invite you to take in a viewing of this before our next show. So perhaps we could.
Do we have a special guest for that one, or is that another one?
No, that will be our second installment of Pride Month there.
All right.
But for those of you in the chat room, I'm going to go ahead and give you a link to Making Love. So, Toppy, if you would be a deer, because we are in the sticks here out in Spud's Flats. We have flora and fauna here. Could you look over the balcony and tell me who joined us in the chat room tonight?
Folks, we're ever so pleased that we have a live audience when we do this streaming thing live on Friday nights. We've got Billy Starsage. That's your hubby. We have the ever mysterious Cronehaven. We have Lamont Cranston, who's shown up. I hope you got to hear most of it, Lamont. And well, you can get the podcast if you want to hear more. Myron Gertz, thank you for being here. And our trusty old pal, Tommy Hash Browns. Thank you, Tommy. And thank you all for being here.
Okay. So if you would, sir, please go ahead and say goodnight in the ways of the old days of radio.
Good night, Gracie.
Thank you for listening to Matinee Minutia.
Our show streams live on the first and third Friday of the month.
Go to univazpods.net, click the tower for streaming audio. Enter Discord for our chat room.
You can find our show anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Find us on Twitter at Matinee Minutia.
Find our group on Facebook.
Or visit our webpage at matineeminutia.com.
Have an idea for a show? Or why not let us know how we're doing?
Email us at matineeminutia@gmail.com.
This has been an Olliebug production.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
univazpods.net.
And for those of you trolling behind on the stream and perhaps on YouTube, I'm going to play a little celebrative music in light of this being a hurricane. Let's see. This is a little tune from the 40s by Mr. Benny Goodman. This is Windy.
Ooh.
If you check us out on YouTube, you can catch me dancing with my hurricane drink. It's a virgin daiquiri.
Do it, TJ.
I don't know if it's still virgin. I might have touched it up.
Thank you. Good for you.
This one goes out to Gertie.
What's Stutzy? I forget how Stutzy's related to Gertie. Are they related?
No, they were old girlfriends who are going to go to college together.
Oh, that's right.
And they work together at a carnival circuit.
That's right. That's right.
But the jury's still out on how athletic their abilities are, because the gentlemen at the VFW, they are not one to kiss and tell.
No, not at all. Okay, that's funny. No, I'm swinging with this June, baby. I'm swinging with it.
We might actually have to do a Xanadu, because we only watched it. We didn't actually do an episode about it. I feel like Leslie Nielsen trying to dance.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's about half of that song.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording and take us off the stream.